What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Spencer, and I'm just going to be reviewing the structure deck for the Charmers that just came out. Take a look at some of the key reprints that came in here. I've been having actually a really fun time doing kind of these like card by card things. People kind of just talk about like specific things. I think it's cool to look at every individual card, and obviously this will be a lot quicker than the Rage of Ra or what's it called? I can't even think of the name now. Phantom Rage, the Phantom Rage set that I did, where I went through every single card. This will be a little shorter, but we'll take a look. I honestly have no idea what the Charmers do at all. I know about the Link monster. I think the fire one that lets you basically take an Ash Blossom and link up from your opponent's graveyard. So we'll see what kind of archetype it is. I'm seeing here at the top, I see Flip, so we're already off kind of on a bad start. But anyways, just looking ahead for just a quick second, I'm definitely going to be doing a Dragon Link video coming up, probably the deck profile. That's kind of my plan for tomorrow. Then going forward, I have a lot of more projects and stuff I want to do. I've just been really busy with school. I graduate December 11th, so I'm definitely going to be putting a ton more time into the YouTube channel when that's done. I'm really excited, but obviously I'm going to try to get you guys these videos as much as I can. Like I've said this before, I try to do at most 2 days between videos, and other than that, I do want to do them every day. But anyways, let's take a look. This is Alsa, I guess it's called. Alsa the Earth Charmer. It's an Earth level 3 spellcaster flip effect. Flip. Target one Earth monster your opponent controls. Take control of that target while this card is face up on the field. Well, there's a lot to unravel here. So your opponent has to control an Earth monster. So I'm already thinking side deck. I mean, that's really the kind of direction I'm going in here. Maybe you side 3 of these in. I'm assuming there would be one for dark. So that's probably going to be your main deck one because most people play dark monsters in some sort of fashion. You also have to find a way to actually flip it during your opponent's turn for it to be useful. I'm going to go ahead and assume that there are plenty of cards that do exactly that. But we'll see. Not off to the best start, for sure. Flip effects are obviously pretty slow. This is Area the Water Charmer. This is also a flip effect. Spellcaster monster, water level 3, 500 attack, 1500 defense. Flip, target one water monster your opponent controls, take control of that target while it is face up on the field. So it's not even forever. It's a flip effect. This is, okay, so I'm guessing these are the really old cards. Which kind of sucks because if you look at the... if you want to look at like Dark Summoning Beast and all that kind of stuff, the Sacred Beast cards were okay. They just needed more support. And I feel like what you're doing here is you're taking something that was really bad to start off with and you're trying to make an archetype around it, if that kind of makes sense. So again, this is probably a side deck card. It looks like it first came out in 2005, which is crazy. Moving on, this is Haita. They all have the same stats and everything. This is just the fire version. Flip, target one fire monster your opponent controls. So yeah, I guess we can kind of see where this is coming here. I'm going to assume they have a dark one, but although honestly now it doesn't look like it. I'll just go over the next one here. Wind the Wind Charmer. Flip, target one wind monster your opponent controls. Take control of that target while this card is face up on the field. Okay, so let's see. Let's take a look at these new ones. These are ultra rare, so I'm going to guess these are the new cards. And I'll just click on it because I'm actually curious to see if this is new. And it is. So this is brand new Possess card. All right. This is an Earth level 5. I'm going to hope it has a special effects. Special summon effect. It's a beast effect. 2000 attack, 200 defense. I'm going to go and assume that the monster type really matters. But you can special summon this card from your hand or deck. Obviously pretty good. By sending one face-up spellcaster monster and one face-up level 4 or lower Earth monster you control to the graveyard. So all the ones I just told you were spellcasters, but they do have to be face-up. So it kind of seems like they work against each other in a sense, but okay. So you just send them to the graveyard. I mean, you can. It's pretty cool. You can summon it from the deck. You can only use each of the following effects of this card's name once per turn. When this card is special summoned by its effect, you can special summon one level 4 lower monster from your graveyard, but negate its effect. So, yeah, you're going to go -2 to summon it, so you're -1 now, then you bring it back. Okay. I just don't know how easy it is Okay, again, there better be better spellcaster monsters. Is probably the best way I can describe this, because it should just say a spellcaster monster you control, meaning like you can send the face down card. But if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can add one spiritual earth art or one possessed spell or trap from your deck to your hand. So that's cool. I'm assuming you're going to go into the Link monster. The Link monster is probably going to revive one to let you go into a Link 3. And you're also getting a spell or trap in that process. Sure, I mean, that's just okay. There needs to be a card somewhere in here that lets you flip summon whenever you want to. This is basically the fire version of it. You can special summon this card from your hand or deck by sending one face-up spellcaster monster and one face-up level 4 or lower fire monster you control to the graveyard. Okay, so let's see what its effects are. When this card is special summoned by its effect, you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to the attack of one monster they control. Useless going first, and it's honestly not good just in general. I guess it's kind of like a Ring of Fire, I think it's called. But I don't see... Hopefully that's not the good effect. If this card is sent from the field to graveyard, you can add one spiritual fine art. Okay, so they all add spell or trap when they go to the graveyard, which basically comes in the form of link summoning, which is fine. I'm not exactly impressed yet. I mean, a lot of these won't be in archetype stuff. Obviously, structure decks have a lot of garbage in them. So this is Nefarious Archfiend, Eater of Nefariousness. Nefariousness. That's so stupid. Earth level 4, beast effect, 1500 attack, 200 defense. You can only control one of this card's name. If you control a spellcaster monster, you can special summon this card from your hand once per turn during your opponent's end phase. If this card is in your graveyard, you can target one face-up monster you control, destroy it, and if you do, special summon this card. It's interesting that it says destroy. So far, there haven't been any effects that I've read that say when this card is destroyed by your own card effects or your opponent's card effects, so we'll see if there's more synergy there. I still can't really figure out what this deck does yet that makes it playable. So this card's been out since 2014. That's okay. So that's pretty strange. Okay, Gigabyte, I think this is called. Let's take a look. Alright, here, Gigabyte. This is a water level 4 reptile effect monster, 1500 attack, 200 defense. You can only control 1 Gigabyte. If you control a spellcaster monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. When this card is destroyed by battle card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one card, basically another copy of itself from the deck. I mean, it'd be great if it replaced itself, right? If it just sent to the graveyard, not by battle card effect. Okay, so I can kind of see now you're going to... See, that doesn't really make any sense to me. So you're going to normal summon your spellcaster monster and hope you have one of these extenders in your hand. Then that helps you special summon from the deck one of the cards that I just described here. Where's the... I don't know how I'm even trying to say this. Like, what is the win condition? Taking control of your opponent's monsters? Maybe. Maybe. This is Inari Fire. And this is a Fire level 4, Pyro effect, 1500 attack, 200 defense. You can only control one of this card's name. If you control a spellcaster monster, again, I mean, these are all old cards. I don't even think they're for necessarily the Charmer cards, but it's just they happen to work together. It's what it seems like, at least. And they're all different types, so you're going to be able to special summon all of them from the deck. Once per turn during your next standby phase, after this face-up card on the field is destroyed by a card effect, it's sent to the graveyard. Special summon it from your graveyard. Okay. I mean, it's great to have all these extenders, but I don't know. I mean, I guess the idea is that you run both of these Awakening of the Possessed cards, and that way you like don't draw into them. You can special summon them from the deck. Cool. This is Ran Ryu. This is a win level 4, dragon effect, 1500 attack, 200 defense. You can only control one of this card's name. If you control a spellcaster monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is destroyed by battle card effects, sent to the graveyard. You can target one. Basically, the Gigabyte is the idea behind this. So I guess you're getting 2 monsters. So they all kind of replace each other. I mean, I guess that's probably the best thing that I've seen about this kind of structure deck so far, is that it's really kind of cognizant of advantage, which is kind of unique in a sense. Okay, so it looks like all the fairy tale cards. I honestly don't remember what any of these do. So let's see. This is a light level 4 spellcaster. So this is a much better card to summon, probably, than the original Charmer cards. But it's also a flip effect. Interesting. You can special summon one monster from your hand. Okay, wow, that's pretty general. When your opponent activates a normal spell or trap card, quick effect, you contribute one other monster. The activated effect becomes change one face-up monster your opponent controls to face-down defense position. Okay, so this requires a lot of setup. First of all, it's a flip effect. I don't think you're going to use the flip effect. So when your opponent activates a normal... So it can't be a quick play spell. It can't be a field spell. I mean, that's conditional for sure. You have to control at least another monster, and your opponent also has to control a monster. I can't imagine this being used anywhere. I mean, yeah, that's just the nature of structure decks, where they're just like, whatever, dude. We got to fill the card quota somehow. And not to say, I don't think the expectation is ever to be like a structure deck is you buy 2 of them and you're just like good to go. I mean, you can, technically it will be a strategy. But the idea is that you pick up the core from the structure deck, and that's the cheapest way to do that. That's what I did for my Sacred Beast deck. So I'm not going to complain too much there. So this is Fairy Tale Rella. Neither player can target monsters on the field with spell cards or effects except this one. Sorry, dude, this is a blowout for Sky Strikers, right? Once per turn, you can discard one spell. Equip one equip spell from your hand, deck, or graveyard to this card. Return that equip spell to the hand during the end phase. I mean, are there even any equip spells in this structure deck? I don't know. I guess we'll have to see about that. Fairy Tale Luna, I think, is a decent one. When this card is normal summon, so this is already the best Fairy Tale. This is the best spellcaster monster because all the other ones are flip effects. So when this card is normal summon, you can add one spellcaster monster with 1,850 attack from your deck to your hand. Okay, that's cool. It's a searcher of some sort. Once per turn, quick effect. You can target one face-up monster your opponent controls. Your opponent can send one card with that monster's name from the deck or extra to the graveyard to negate the effect. Otherwise, return both this card and that monster to the hand. So yeah, that's pretty decent. Because let's say they go to like Needle Fiber, especially Needle Fiber. They try to go into it, and most decks only run one copy. And really, even if they do, it's not like they would be able to use the effect twice. So you're taking away their ability to go into Link Ross. I mean, yeah, I mean, it doesn't negate the effect, so it's really not that great, but it's definitely the best spellcaster monster in the structure deck so far, in my opinion. And at best, there's Witchcrafter stuff in here. Wow, they're really just going for it. When your opponent activates this is the light level 8, okay, spellcaster effect, 2800 attack. When your opponent activates a card or effect that targets a spellcaster monster you control, or targets it for an attack, so pretty general. You can target one card your opponent controls, or one Witchcrafter spell in your graveyard, special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, return that targeted card to the hand. You can only use this effect of this card's name once per turn. Once per turn during your opponent's standby phase, return this card to the hand. Wow, for a level 8, you would think it would just stay there. Or, so if they try to target it or attack it, you can target one card your opponent controls. Interesting. I mean, all of those seem good, but I did not expect the Witchcrafters to be in here. And now there's a Pendulum monster. There's a lot going on in this structure deck. I don't know what's going on. That's terrible. Okay, so this is Dark Doriado. Okay, this is a Dark level 4, Pendulum scale 5. And its Pendulum effect is all Earth, Water, Fire, and Wind monster you control gain 200 attack for every different attribute among monsters you control. Terrible. This is a spellcaster with 1800 attack and 1400 defense. If this card is normal special summon, you can choose 4 monsters from your deck. So really, they're trying to pressure you into using all of them. But to that, I'll say you don't want all of them in your deck for sure, because you don't know if your opponent will control his monsters, and if you open them, you're gonna have to set one of them face down and just hope. And there isn't even one for dark monsters flip to control a dark monster, which is even worse. That's crazy. This doesn't feel well thought out at all, in my opinion. But which of the Black Forest is in this? This is, yeah, I was gonna say this came out in like what, 2002? Yeah, its first appearance was in Metal Raiders. Alright, if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, add one monster of 1500 attack or less defense from your deck to your hand, but you cannot activate cards or the effects of cards with the name for the rest of the turn. I think this was used to search Sangan back in the day, which is cool. I would not recommend using this now. So I guess we can just move on. That's decent. It's also just a common. Oh, there's an effect veiler in here. That's cool. Obviously, that during your opponent's main phase, it's a hand trap. You can target a monster that control it negates its effects. Very popular hand trap. So I still think I still want to say effect veilers are like $3. So hopefully this brings it down to basically nothing. That's something interesting enough to check. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the TCG player real quick, and I just want to know how much this effect veiler is. If it brings it down to less than $1, that's just really cool. I mean, I already own copies, but if you're new to the game or you're looking to pick up some cheap hand traps, I mean, that would be a great option. I know there was a lot of criticism for this structure deck, especially because they took out Evenly Match. So I was interested to see what they replaced it with. But from what I remember seeing, I briefly looked at this yesterday. There were a few good ones in here, but in any case, let's go ahead and take a look at how much that effect veiler is now. And I should be able to find it pretty easily. Structure deck, or starter deck. Moving on here, we're close, right? Oh, here it goes. Okay, so it's $2 still. Wow, it was a common short print. I don't even know how that's possible. Oh, that's kind of a bummer, actually. No matter how many printings this card has, it'll be $2 forever. I mean, look at the list of this. That is bizarre to me. Okay, so there's only 2 listings from this. So maybe as more come in and it'll start driving the price down finally. That is really interesting, actually, to see. I'm glad I looked that up. But moving on, we have Denko Seka. This is kind of a stun card, if I'm not mistaken, so we'll take a look in just a second. This is a light level 4 Thunder effect, so it doesn't have really any synergy at all. Cannot be special summoned. While you control no set spell or traps, neither player can set spell or traps nor activate spell or traps that are set on the field. So it's like a better Jinzo in a sense. That's pretty good. Although I feel like this is just a side decking card that everybody uses, which is interesting. Which is pretty cool, so why not? This is, okay, so now we're getting to the spell cards. We'll see if there's anything that has to do with helping you flip your monsters. And I'm going to go ahead and guess as well that this is new. Yep, so this is a brand new spell. It's one of the ultra rares. Okay, negate your opponent's first monster effect that resolves each turn while you control a spellcaster monster with 1500 defense. What I'm going to be curious to see here is if this structure deck actually also includes left and right arm offering, I think it's called, or Magician's Left Hand. One of them negates the first spell and one of them negates the first trap, so it seems like that's what they're going for. It's really cool. This is also a field spell, so during your main phase, you can reveal one spellcaster monster from your hand. If you do, add one monster with the same attribute, but with 1500 attack and 200 defense from your deck to your hand. And if you do, shuffle the revealed card into the deck. What? Okay, during your main phase, you can reveal one spellcaster monster from your hand, and if you do, add one monster with the same name. Okay, so you're just switching them out. That's just really a complicated way of saying you're switching them out. Negating monster effects is great. I guess it's free, and it also you're able to. Okay, so this kind of does tie it together a little bit. This is a good field spell. So, like I said, in my mind, I'm thinking, well, your opponent's not always going to have a wind monster or fire, everything like that. But if you can play all of them, or if you know your opponent's playing 2 of them, and maybe you're going to game 2, and you just need a certain one, you can just switch them out, and that way you're going to try to be able to use that. Now, there's no way to actually flip it yet during your opponent's turn, but that's a really good start. So that was a pretty well designed card with built-in interruption. See, I'm assuming when it says by you control, if you set it face down, I don't know if that counts. That's one of the interesting things. I'm not exactly sure. Next, we have a continuous spell. This came out in Dual Overload, so this is not new. And this is Awakening of the Possessed, I think. I don't know if I said that. Monsters you control gain 300 attack for each different attribute you control, so useless. If a spellcaster monster with 1,850 original attack is normal special summon, you can add to your field, you can draw one card. I mean, I guess there's value going first, so that's kind of cool. The attack thing is useless, so I guess it's like, why would you not run Pot of... this is basically just an Upstart Goblin for Awakening of the Possessed. Maybe you run one Upstart Goblin and two of these, if that's kind of... If you really like Upstart Goblin, although that's kind of been phased out of the game at this point. Basically, no one uses it because there's just more value in like searching cards and everything, and special summoning from the deck or sending it to the graveyard. Yeah, that's interesting. This is the super rare Raigeki. Why not? Okay, so this is a secret village of the spellcasters, which is very interesting because we just went over a field spell card, and I'm not a huge fan. Oh, God, I guess it's cool to have in your side deck. I mean, it's great that your opponent can activate spell cards or anything like that, but gosh, I don't know. I really, that doesn't seem like a homogenous strategy. Spellbook of Knowledge, sure, I guess. I mean, technically, no. I was gonna say, technically speaking, you could run Blue Boy. What is its? I don't know what Blue Boy's stats are. I'm gonna assume it doesn't have any synergy because none of the other cards are in here. It's literally just like, hey, this is a draw card. But I don't like that too in a vacuum, because if you think about it, you want to have that card on the field. So, and if you're going to special summon those monsters from the deck, you got to send them to the graveyard, and it brings one back. But I'm assuming that's to go into your extra deck. So you can't afford to use Spellbook of Knowledge unless you're just so desperate. And they don't have graveyard effects or anything like that either when they're sent to the graveyard. That's very average to me, for sure. This is Book of Eclipse, and this is obviously an extremely old card. I'm curious to see when this came out first. 2008. Change all face-up monsters on the field to face-down position during the end phase. Changes many face-down defense position monster your opponent controls to face-up defense position. Then your opponent draws a card equal to it. So it's not good. It's pretty old-fashioned there. You definitely don't want to give your opponent advantage. It's not a card I would recommend. It's cool to have a Twin Twisters reprint. Again, I think it's one of those cards that you just want to drive down the price a little more. And it's common. Hopefully it's not short printing common. Although, again, I don't know what that means for a structure deck. But, excuse me. And this is the coveted, to me, reprint of the set Dark Rule No More. I'm very happy. I did not mention it in the video of cards I said needed a reprint, but it was definitely on the cusp of it. It was one I thought about. It's really cool. I think this is like $3 now. You can get a play set of a really powerful card now. I don't know if it was originally planned to have this and Evenly Matched, but if it was, this would almost be worth it because you get the Twin Twisters, a Dark Rule No More, and Evenly Matched if it wasn't here. So if it's not, now it's a little disappointing, but still, it's cool that the option's there and it'll be on the secondary market now that you don't have to you don't have to pay too much for it. And it's a common. Again, it's one of those short printed commons according to TCG Player, but so it looks like there's a lot of traps here. We'll see if this is really the thing. This is a normal trap. This is Possessed Partnerships. And you can special summon one spellcaster monster with 1500 defense from your hand or graveyard in attack position. So it's a Call by the Grave. Then, if you control monsters with 2 or more different attributes, you can destroy one face-up card on the field. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one possessed continuous spell or trap in your graveyard. Place it on your field. You can only use one effect of this card's name once per turn. The thing that just actually disappoints me about this card is I don't. It seems a little too slow for sure. Obviously, it's a normal trap, and that's the thing. That's pretty cool. You can banish it to give yourself advantage back for sure. It's very conditional. The destruction. It almost just feels like it would be worth playing if you could just special summon one of your spellcasters and pop a card. I don't think that's overpowered. I don't know why they put this many restrictions on it. But this should be a continuous trap as well. So there's a lot of... This is a very badly designed card. And this is new too, which is like... Yikes. That's not great. This is a continuous trap. This is unpossessed. Charmer monsters you control cannot be destroyed by battle. Okay, that's okay. It can be a lot for some decks to deal with for sure. If a familiar possessed monster you control attacks an opponent's monster, it gains 800 attack during damage calculation. Again, that's just okay. If a monster you control is destroyed by battle or a card effect, while this card is already face up in your spell and trap zone, you can special one spellcaster monster with 1500 defense from your deck, whose attribute is different from at least one of those destroyed original monster's original attribute on the field, in attack position or face down defense position. They can't be destroyed by battle, and there's also a condition here that if a card you control is destroyed by battle, it seems to work against itself in a sense. Like, I feel like that's not where the focus should be. If the beginning of your text is saying you're getting battle protection, why have a contingency if they do get destroyed by battle? Why not give me more advantage elsewhere? Again, not a card. I mean, it's cool to special from the deck. It's cool that it's continuous traps every single turn. It is a little bit of protection. Obviously, if you're playing the Charmers, this would for sure be a card that you're going to use, which I don't know if that's worth right now. I haven't seen anything that is impressing me. This is Spiritual Earth Art. This is a really old card. Tribute 1 Earth Monster and target 1 level 4 lower Earth Monster graveyard, so you're not going to use that. It's terrible. I'm assuming Aoi and Kuinari are the exact same thing. Yep. Tribute 1 Water Monster. Oh, okay, so this is different. So this is Spiritual Water Art Aoi. Tribute a Water Monster. Look at your opponent's hand and send 1 card from their hand to the graveyard. The design I wish on this card, because again, there's nothing inherently good about this archetype so far. Why not make it a quick play spell, and why not make it specifically Charmer so no one else can use it, and you just have the same effect where you can just basically make your opponent go -1. I know that sounds a little overpowered, but there's got to be something to move the needle for Charmers here. Like, that could be their gimmick, is ripping cards out of your opponent's hands. And Spiritual Fire Kuinai. Tribute a fire monster, inflict damage to your opponent equal to that monster's effect. Terrible. Tribute 1. This is Spiritual Wind Art Miyabi. Normal trap again. Tribute 1 wind monster, then target 1 card to your opponent controls. Place that opponent's card on the bottom of the deck. It is targeting, so I mean, the field spell kind of brings all of these together. This is definitely a going first deck, that's for sure. There's no breaking boards with this deck at all, basically. So I just don't see it. Here's a Metaverse, which is cool. Dimensional Barrier and Solemn Warning are both great reprints, I'm assuming. I think I have a playset of Dimensional Barrier, but it's still cool to see cards that potentially like have formats where they're more popular and people will buy them out, but now that there's more of them in the market, it'll help keep it stable forever. And hopefully there won't be any market buyouts for like a Dimensional Barrier, especially. I think could be a card at some point in some format that's just really popular. When I first started playing Yu-Gi-Oh, this was a very big card, and I think I spent at the time like $5 per copy on it. It was cool to see a common reprint here. So we have some more familiar possessed cards. This is Asa. Okay, I was going to say, are these new? But no. Okay, so this is an Earth level 4 spellcaster effect. 1,000. I keep saying 1,800, but it's 1,850. Defense 1,500. Card text. You can special summon this card from your hand or deck by sending 1 face of also the Earth Charmer and 1 face of Earth Monster control to the graveyard. oddly specific that it has to be 2 Earth monsters. I can't imagine that's extremely easy to do, especially because you can't guarantee your extenders. You can basically only guarantee your starter because of the field spell, assuming that you're going to get one of the 3 copies of it, also assuming you have the requisite card in your hand to shuffle it and grab the one that you want. I'm going to guess that these are not great. But here's Familiar Possessed Area. You can special summon this card from your hand or deck by sending 1 face-up area, the Water Charmer, and 1 face-up Water Monster you control. So I almost don't even want to go over these cards because how easy is it going to be? Like the first ones I described, they want 2 different attributes. These want the same attribute. The idea, I suppose, is that no matter what your board state is, one of them you'll be able to special summon from the deck, and these are all, like, the big payoff for special summoning this card is inflicting piercing battle damage. So no way these cards are worth playing. And there's no extra deck cards in the structure deck too. Wowie zowie. So let's just go over the last quick play spell here. Discard 1 card, take 2 cards from your deck with different names from each other that are Charmer monsters, Familiar Possessed, and or Possessed spell and traps. Add one of them to your hand and set the other. Add one of them to your hand and set the other. So that's really good. That's the best card of the set. I'm going to guess this is new for the structure deck. And yes, of course it is. So there are about 2 good cards in there that I really liked. I don't understand what the strategy is necessarily. It still is it feels convoluted. Don't buy this. You can buy the common reprints off of this for sure. That's the selling point of the deck, which is embarrassing to me. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is crazy. Team Samurai said there was a $30 competitive version of this. I was pretty shocked. But he gets sponsored by Konami, so I feel like he gets unfairly criticized for that. I know he's like over the top bubbly type of dude, but he has like, if I'm not mistaken, he has the most YouTube subscribers. He's the biggest YouTuber, and Konami works very directly with him. He's kind of their representative for the community, which is cool because I think they sent him stuff before. Just off you go on a side tangent, my thoughts on Yugi tubing that I'm just now entering, but before it was very much we know you exist, but we're not going to officially recognize you because you criticize our products a lot. And the smart thing that basically Team Samurai did was he said, well, I'm not going to criticize you necessarily. I'm just going to keep playing the game, I'm going to be this over-the-top kind of guy, be the cool dude to appeal to kids and everything like that, which is what he should do. And Konami's like, you're keeping it PC, bro? Because they would never, ever work with Simo, who is like one of the other bigger ones with over 100,000 subscribers. He never tells them to buy product. He opens product on his page and everything like that, but he always tells people not to buy him. So Konami would never partner with him. And I don't know if he'd be willing to sell. It doesn't seem like it. It seems like he likes his little community and stuff like that. But that's just a side note. In conclusion, I would not buy the structure deck. The reprints are okay, but there's nothing. If there's an evenly matched reprint, okay, maybe you start thinking about it and you pick up all these kind of cards that belong in the side deck at some point or another. But yeah, that's just my final thoughts on the Charmer structure deck. Let me know what you guys think. And hopefully, what I'm actually really scared for now is the Ice Barrier. And they did reveal a few new cards. One of them was pretty decent, and they did one with a kind of a bad special summoning effect, so it almost seems like a wasted slot. So we'll see if we get the same kind of thing from this. Although naturally, I'm going to say that the new Synchro Monster is probably going to be in there, and is actually a decent card. It depends on if the support is there, which is interesting enough. So the thing is with this, there is nothing. There are no powerful cards that do anything inherently unfair or unique that is no other deck can do. That I think that's really the main problem. And there's just a lot of stuff in here that I don't think has any sort of synergy necessarily. It's like you try to piece it together with the field spell and this card, Spirit Charmers, and it's not enough to move the needle for me. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. But other than that, guys, that's going to do it for today. And I hope you have an absolutely wonderful night.